Welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner podcast. My name is Scott. I'll be your host today. We have two lovely guests.
Apparently three.
Maybe three. Maybe three. You guys are all dressed in the same color. We have a late night version of the podcast. Cheers, ladies.
Cheers.
A little celebration going on. It is Friday night. It is Friday night. We are 5 days after. 5 days post-marathon for the two of you. I have my lovely wife, Stefany, who most of you will know, and Aura Kennedy
My
here with
running
us.
buddy.
Yeah. Yep, two Marine Corps Marathon finishers from this past Sunday, wearing their medals. Can we show off the medals a little bit? And
These are cool medals.
Yeah.
I love them.
they haven't taken them off since Sunday.
I know, I
think.
bathed with it and everything.
And yeah, that's good stuff. You guys had a long journey to this race. I want to talk about this. We're
Our
gonna
marathon journey.
Your marathon journey. Now, some say the journey is more important than the actual race. What do you guys think?
Yep.
Yeah.
I thought it was a little nightmarish, but I'm glad.
Both
I
the
did
training and the race.
Yes, I'm glad I did it, endured it, and finished. Cause it was good.
So let's start at the very beginning. What made you guys choose Marine Corps Marathon? Now, did you guys choose this together, or was it a separate decision? I can't even remember. I feel like I was involved too, because initially I was going to run it too.
I honestly can't remember. I think
Well,
I was told it was a good one.
I'll
You
tell
remember.
you the story.
Okay.
2017, I ran New York City Marathon without training, walked, and I retire.
Oh, I remember
I
this.
remember that sort of.
And then I get Aura calling me. Congratulations! I have to do my marathon. Yes, you have to do it with me.
Right, so
she
you
brought me
you were out of retirement. Now you
Yeah,
I
so what's my
promised her.
story?
you have a little bit of a different story.
My story, what was it? First time? What was it my bib said? First time?
First time's a charm.
But I've actually, entered 4.
This is the fourth.
This is
This
the
was
fourth.
the
Oh, fourth time.
Fourth time's a charm,
Yeah,
but this
fourth
is my
time's a
first
charm.
one actually completing. So I've registered for 4 marathons, 3 previously.
So what were the other 3? Do you remember them?
The first one was Las Vegas, the Rock
Right.
and Roll Las Vegas back at
Which
what year?
now that one's held at
2012,
night, right?
2013, yes.
Wow.
And I went with I signed up my friends like, hey, who wants to come to Vegas? I'm running a marathon. Let's go make it a long weekend type of thing. Okay,
And you went to the expo too.
Oh yeah, so then I signed up, got in, never trained, and my friends were like, we still doing this? I go, yeah, I got my plane tickets booked. This is gonna be just like a party weekend. So we ended up going. I did not do the race, but I did go to the expo. That was a pretty cool expo.
The
That was
expo,
awesome.
yeah. What did you think of expo versus the Marine Corps expo?
The Las Vegas,
Las Vegas one was
big.
better, huh?
Yeah, it was a lot bigger and better. But you know what? I think I had more time to experience the Las Vegas one. I was more in a rush to the Marine Corps, so I just.
Well, did you know you weren't going to run Las Vegas when you went to the expo?
Yes.
You kind of just were like, I'm in Las Vegas. We made the trip.
Yep.
I didn't train. What is this cat doing?
I learned how to play craps instead.
So it wasn't a total loss.
Correct. I was like, yeah, and I was on a winning streak at the craps table. So even if I was trained, I think I would have missed.
You wouldn't have. You wouldn't have went to the starting line
Because I could not leave the table.
you'd
My
have been
pass line was there. I could not leave the
wearing
table.
your bib and your whole running outfit. So what were the other 2? You remember? There was one in like the Cape
Martha's
or
Vineyard.
Martha's Vineyard.
Was I think last year.
Last year.
And then what was the other one? Oh, the Phoenix one.
Oh, you did the marathon.
We did the half one,
Right.
and I thought it was a great because my brother lives in Phoenix,
Right.
so that was a good experience, and I got to meet
right.
you guys for the half. So I was like, oh, kill 2 birds with one stone. Let's go back in the next year. And I think you were thinking about signing up for it. Did you sign up for it too?
I did. I went. I DNF'd. I ran that race, but
The
I
one
DNF'd.
this year that
Yes, that was the one.
February.
Yes.
So I was supposed to do the marathon
Right.
on that one too.
Right, we talked about that, but I didn't remember that you signed up. Now I kind of remember that you did sign up. So then finally, this is
This is 4.
after signing up for 3 marathons and then not running
That's
them.
my running joke.
Do
That's
you-
so funny. It's the running
Well, now you don't have the joke anymore.
It's still a joke.
But what makes you keep signing up for these things? I
because
mean,
it's always been on my bucket list. I've
Yeah.
always wanted to.
you've always been a runner. We ran before. We ran a race before.
Yep.
Very successful too, I might add.
That was
for both
the
of
one
us.
I ran with you was my fastest
Iron Horse half marathon.
Yep, and that was my fastest half marathon.
Yeah.
Well,
Can't remember
Aura's
my
a
time.
was
fast
great.
runner.
Yeah.
You are a fast runner.
No, I don't
Mhm.
agree
Well,
with that.
compared to me, you're a fast
Well, it's
runner.
all
It's
relative.
all relative. I don't. As long as
It's
I
all
finish
relative.
and do it, and
So Aura likes to run super, super fast, and I have to tell her, slow down. You're going too
Well,
fast.
yes.
that's my
Well,
story
well,
with
we
this
talk
one
about-
too.
Well, we'll talk about that when we get
Yeah.
there, but yeah.
So, all right. So we were all registered, and then I wound up bailing. But let's talk about training. You guys went and you found an elite coach.
Yes. Best coach ever.
Coach Ricky.
It's good advertising for me.
I don't know. For him, it might be vice versa.
But let me.
Might
I
be
mean,
like-
let's just throw it out there. I mean, you guys. I was a little skeptical that you were going to go through with it because it seemed like you had delayed for quite a while to start training.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got to get him out of the way of the microphone. Come here, bud. So it seemed to me like you guys had delayed the start of training for a while, and I remember thinking like, I don't think they're doing it. And then all of a sudden, we were doing it.
I think we were doing good in the spring. We did a couple 5Ks in the spring.
Oh, yeah. We
We did,
started training in the spring.
Because we did the one in West Hartford,
Mm-hmm.
and then we did the Cinco de Mayo 5K.
Right. Yeah.
And then I think after that,
Right,
then
yeah.
we had so many things going between graduations
Yeah.
and parties and weddings.
Scheduling always, and you have a tough job schedule too. As the coach, let me know. I mean, I'll tell you that right off the bat. It's hard.
He's like,
It's hard to
"When are you
schedule you.
working again?"
But you know, I'll tell you what. So you guys decided to start training,
Late.
and it was like you probably had 3.5 months, I think.
I think
maybe 4.
from our little app, I think it
Yeah.
said total 15 weeks, I think it was.
All right.
From the
So
beginning.
yeah, like 3.5, almost 4 months. And when you look at it that way, you also have to think you got to taper for 2 weeks.
Correct.
So you got to take. So you really had 13 weeks of actual training. And you guys, I want to say you could probably at the time comfortably run. You maybe 3 miles, and you maybe 4 or 5
Mm-hmm.
at the time. You were just slightly ahead. But it started, and once you started training and you started having more of a plan, you guys stuck to it.
Yeah. Well,
So
but
what was like the dedication factor there? What
Well,
was
there's someone here that's a stickler to the rules. And I mean like stickler to the rules.
Who?
You.
Think about your husband.
No. It's you. It's like, babe, I can't. That's a lot. Let's do 4. Yeah, you can do 4. No, I'm doing 5.
Well, because he used to always have the plan out. Make sure you do 4 to 5 miles. I'm like, when you give me that 5, I'm like, I'm going for the max.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
you guys do
like,
the high one? So the other thing I remember about you both was that there were times where I scheduled runs and it just didn't seem to fit in the schedule. And it'd be like the middle of the week, like a Wednesday or Thursday. Thursdays are bad for you, I think.
Wednesdays were
Wednesdays are
yeah.
Wednesdays are
for
bad
her.
for you. All right, I forgot already.
See? So do I.
And you'd wake up at 5 a.m. or even earlier, and you'd meet and go running. And now we have some people in the group that some people are like shrugging their shoulders, going,
Oh,
"That's what I
yeah.
do every day." But
Katie
Katie.
Mayo.
I think it takes dedication to do that. And you guys, once you guys got on the plan and you were in it, like you guys were doing. I mean, what did it take to make sure that you got those runs in? Sometimes was it easy, or were you just in the
No.
mode, or was it?
Wait, can I remind you, you're married to me. You know what
I'm
I
asking
complain
questions.
about.
I'm an interviewer here. I'm trying to get you to tell the stories.
Well, I know my husband
I'm trying to.
didn't
I mean,
like...
not only that, but I'm setting you up to talk about yourself, so you could like
I'm
how
not a
dedicated
morning
you are.
person,
Now,
But to have a buddy and accountability, like, oh,
Yeah.
she's meeting
goes
me
a
there
long
and
way.
everything. That, if it wasn't for her,
yeah,
Nope,
you'd hit
I
the
would-
snooze button.
I
a
would be
couple more
like, my
times.
4th marathon would have not happened or anything. So I think that's key.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was hard because, I mean, I would say maybe out of all the runs that we did, we delayed 2. And one of them was like on the spot because
I forgot my.
your little iPod, whatever
I
it's
left it
called.
on and it was dead, and I can't
And
run
she
without
couldn't run it.
music.
So we're like, we'll do it tomorrow.
And we did do it,
Yeah,
though.
well, we did it the
You
next
did.
day.
You did.
But besides those 2 times, we really stuck to the schedule.
Until the
and
end.
Made it, yeah.
I
Well,
think,
but that was a little different.
and I think so. You guys, we built up slowly, and well, not even slowly because we didn't have that much time. I really think I was pushing you a little bit. It's kind of like hard because as a coach, you got to kind of like toe the line of you don't want you guys to get injured or hurt, and I know you each had some little
And we're total opposites. You loved like the speed work. I love the hills.
right.
Like
right.
I hated. Oh, I hated
hated
those-
hills.
Oh, no, I hate speed work.
Oh boy.
Oh no.
But we had a pretty good mix of both. No,
Oh, we did, but we had to hear each
wish
other
I had more
complain.
hills.
Right. Well, that evens it out. Now, and then we also, when we did the long runs, there was that one day that we went to the trail, and you guys ran 15 miles. I remember that
I love
day.
that trail.
And that was my first time. Remember, I'm only half marathoner, so
Yeah, so that was-
13.1 was the furthest I've ever gone. So
Right.
maybe the government might say 13.3, but whatever.
Yeah.
So that was like a mental.
And we felt good. We felt good after those.
You guys
15
finished those
miles.
15. You felt really. I was cycling on the trail that day, and
And you know what? Actually, because your argument with me all the time, is like I'm too fast.
Yes.
And my mentality, I was like, I'm gonna run this as much as possible straight through without taking walk breaks. So for the longest time, I was anti walk breaks.
Mm-hmm.
So
you came around.
Yeah, that was the
That was
first
the run.
time.
And I
Well,
think
And
there's
we
something to be
felt
said when
good.
you finish 15 miles and you look at your time, and it's around. It's not 18-minute miles. You know, it's 12
They were
to
like
13-minute miles,
12, 20
and
something.
when you
yeah.
extrapolate that out, you're like, oh, that's a sub 6 hour marathon, which is very respectable. It gives you a lot more confidence.
because I think I was like, I'm staying with you this whole entire time. Because once I hit 13.1, I'm gonna have that mental block. Like, so I'm gonna hit the wall.
Because you've never been there before.
Correct, I've never been there before. So she's like, well, I do the walk interval run. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And then you know what? I think that it's still painful.
Mm-hmm.
Like the last 2 miles was
Right.
like, I'm like, oh, I was like, this is not fun. So I'm glad that's when I started believing in the walking run interval. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, maybe this is the way to do it after all. So.
And that was one of my observations in watching you guys in the race, was that there are a lot of people doing the intervals now.
Yeah.
I would wager to say that more people do the intervals in the overall than actually try to run the race all the way through. Which
I think that intervals, at least for me, are good because when I stop, I can concentrate on drinking the water. I can concentrate on eating the
right, so it keeps you
yes.
all hydrated and
nutrition.
nutrition
As opposed to running and going, oh, now I gotta have water. And I'm talking about training runs because obviously on the marathons you pick up your water from the water stations.
Right.
But at least when you're training on your own, you're like, you just want to get it done. But with the walk intervals, you're like, okay.
Right, and then you guys did it we did like a 16-mile run or 16 and a half. Well, you guys did that one in the morning.
That was a debacle one.
Yeah, that was a bad one
the
for
4
you.
o'clock in the morning
Yeah.
one, the night run.
And it was getting really dark in the mornings, and yeah.
All right, so that race.
Wait, did you guys actually really do that one, or did you like ride around in the car?
We
No.
just
very
put Jake in
slowly?
the car and we had him run the 15 mile.
Tie his
actually-
leash to the bumper and drag him around.
You just got your light up vest.
We wouldn't
too
do that.
and
By the way,
everything.
Debbie's gonna get mad at me for saying that.
Oh yeah, sorry.
What?
Dragging the dog around in the back bumper.
I would run with Jake though. I was like, let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, you don't want to run
Jake
with Jake.
Jake dies out at 3
Better than
miles.
Shamrock. Shamrock would be like,
No,
let's
so
just
Jake
run.
just jets, and you're like, wait, and then at the last like a mile and a half down,
He
you'll
gets
drag
tired,
him.
and you got to
Yeah.
drag him.
But
But,
yeah, so that race was actually
That run.
I'm sorry, that run was fun and not fun because I tripped and fell.
Well, remember, I tripped first. Remember, I tripped and you caught it, but I caught myself. I was like, I'm like, this is gonna start bad.
Yeah.
Oh, and I think we had a speed work a few days before, so I was in pain because every time I
Yeah.
did speed work, I was in pain for like a month afterwards. Exaggerating, but still. And I think I tripped over and I was like, oh, this is not good. And then half a mile down, you did the same thing, and this time it was like slow motion. You're like, do. And I'm like, oh. But you know what? You got up. You got up, and she was cut up, scraped
I
up.
remember, yeah.
And I was waiting for the excuse for her to say, I'm done. Because I was ready to go, okay,
Yeah.
let's go. And then she
That would've
kept
been
going.
great.
I was like,
Yeah, she got about 16 something done. And so that was kind of like where you guys capped off. Now, I remember you wanted to do a 20.
yep, mentally. That's
And
what I wanted to do.
we had a couple of bad weeks in there. And we were starting to get a little bit, and we were already pressing time for the taper. So, rule of thumb typically is that you don't want to do as many miles as there are days left to your marathon.
Mm-hmm.
So we were tapering up to like 2 weeks, and we were going to try to squeeze a 20-miler in, and it was kind of we were cutting it close, and we never wound up doing it. So when we went to DC, where was you, on a scale of 1 to 10, where was your confidence level? Not in terms of whether, we'll talk about that in a minute, but in terms of could you get your body from the start to the finish? What was your confidence level on a scale of 1 to 10?
0.
But 1 is the minimum.
Okay, so 2. 0, 2. You told me I did because you guys were in San Diego, so I didn't have my running buddy. So I think my longest run I ended up doing was that Saturday before the race, and I did 8 miles. And that 8 miles was a
disaster.
Well,
now, did you run the whole thing, or did you take? Yeah,
I did the walk intervals. So I had a 4-to-1 walk intervals, and it was torturous. And I think I took a break, and you said try to do 4 miles in between, like at least 4 miles. I did that Monday. I did 4 miles, and maybe I might have gone too fast. So I might have done a speed work. That after that, I felt like my legs were shot. I ached. It was like I can't even walk.
Right. So you were not feeling so.
And then I think mentally, because I'm like, I never got to that 20.
Yeah.
I was like, or I'm like.
Right.
And then I'm like, oh, and then I was worried about her because you have some issues too and everything.
But you knew, I mean, you've done this before.
So yeah, I know what it's like to run with pain. I know the pain version, and I know I can stick through it. But what scared me a little bit was the run in San Diego that we had on Wednesday, right?
That would have scared me if I were you too, but I didn't want to say anything.
Yeah, because we
do we want to say what your issue was or anything like that?
So I had kidney stones.
Well, yeah.
Kidney stones in the hospital. Sunday and Tuesday overnight into Wednesday. Past the 5-millimeter stone. It was painful. And my kidney was swollen from all the urine that had backed up. Sorry. Urine.
That's right. It's the whole podcast on nipple chafing. So.
It's all right, because wait till what's coming later. Wait till what comes in later in the podcast. But anyway, so, your kidney was swollen. It was sore. And when we ran that Tuesday in San Diego, I didn't feel any soreness when I was walking around. So I really thought I was back to being normal. And then when I started running, I was like, this is not good. Not good. And I texted you and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm scared. Because I don't know if I was going to have that pain all the way through. I didn't want to do more damage. But I went to the urologist that Friday before, right before we left. And I told her I'm doing the marathon. And I told her about the soreness. And she said that it might be a little bit uncomfortable still because there might be some swelling, but no damage would be done if I decided to run it. So,
thank you, urologist.
There you go.
I love that urologist. What's her name?
Well, I got to tell you, I was slightly concerned that they were going to tell you that you couldn't run, and then I would have to.
For me, is that what you were trying to do, or no?
I would have ran it because I would have felt like one of us has to run it because we paid for 2 entries.
Yeah.
See, I'm like, because I'm like.
But I would have run it with you if that's what you.
I think that's like freaking out because you were there always. I'm like, even though you say I'm fast and times I left you and everything, I'm like you were always there.
My plan was to, and if I was going to do it, I was going to run with her. So I would have ran with you.
Because I'm like.
But you probably would have beat me, to be honest.
I think needed somebody to hold me accountable, or at least I'm like I have somebody there because. I don't want to say that's selfish of me, but if I see somebody else in my same position struggling and everything, then I know I'm not the only one.
You commiserate.
Correct. So it was like I'm like she's doing it. She's just as miserable as I am. We're doing it together. Let's go.
Yeah.
So it's like so I'm like, and that's what I was worried. I'm like, and I think that's what all played in mental because he's like, you got to run. I'm like, I'm not running. I'm like, I'm not going. I was like,
So we get to DC now. When were you made aware? When did weather come into account? Like when did you take note?
Well, this one knew because she bought a whole bunch of ponchos.
That's right.
Yeah, she
were
was
a
a lifesaver
for many people.
Even the strangers.
You're like the Mother Teresa of ponchos.
Must have been a week because I ordered those through Amazon. Like I think on Monday, and it came on Wednesday or Thursday. So I think I was over the weekend when you guys were in San Diego, and I'm like, am I doing this? Am I? I was ready to cancel, I have till Monday to cancel my room, or should I change my reservations? I'm like, am I really doing this? I was like, I'm like, oh my God, I get my Stefany. I'm like, I'm so scared. I was like, she's not going to be able. So I was like, fine. I'm like, you know what? This is a 2 year in the making because I deferred.
Yeah, you did.
So
you deferred the
I'm
year
like,
before.
you know what? I'm going to do it no matter what.
And at that point, you can't defer again.
Yeah.
Correct. I was like, so at that point, I was like, oh, let me go on Amazon, get some ponchos, and the same thing. I called my mom up. She was up to watch a dog. Well, she also came to visit the family, but she watched my dog that weekend. I'm like, Mom, if you see any ponchos, can you get them? So that's what you got your yellow
we got the
ponchos.
deluxe poncho.
Yeah.
Me and Sam were talking about the deluxe poncho.
And then I bought like on Amazon like a 6-pack of ponchos. I'm like, just in case anybody needs them.
Can I tell you, this weekend has convinced me that I need a supply of ponchos for my running bags, because
I actually told Scott, I said
we need
to get those because not even when the team grows, but just imagine just pulling up ponchos the way you did, like
that was
Debbie,
you. That's what I'm saying, Mother Teresa.
We had one poncho left.
Oh, I was trying to. Okay, so I got to tell the story. Ramon, if you're listening to this podcast, you'll love this. So we're on the metro heading to the start line. Yeah, like this. I'm used to it. But anyway, I look down and there's a determination athlete, and determination is the reason I started running, Coach Ramon. Anyway, so I start talking to him, we're chatting.
I was like a pickup line. Would you like a poncho?
I think I did, so you probably said.
I said, hey, we have an extra poncho, you need one? He's like, no, I have mine right here. So I try to give away the poncho.
She didn't hear him at first saying that. So she's like, Aura, get your poncho. I'm like, I'm going to start in here. I was like, hold on. I was like, he's like, no, I already have one. He's like,
yeah. So we got off the train and we're walking. And this poor girl behind us, she's like, oh my God, that it's raining. And I go, do you need a poncho?
It's like, here you go. She was like, thank you. And you saw her running afterwards.
Yeah,
right?
I saw her because I remember she had a white scrunchie. Yeah, I know.
That's a fun word to say, poncho.
Poncho.
Yeah. But that's why I gave you guys the yellow one so we can like spot you.
Yeah.
So when we were running, the first mile was like, look for yellow ponchos.
Well, I told her that we were going to be on the right-hand side, and you guys ran up the right-hand side. It was convenient. The hotel we stayed at was very convenient for
that's where the hill started, though, so I don't like that.
Right. Oh, yeah, that
hill was pretty bad. But, all right, so you knew that the weather forecast was bad, and we knew when we got there that it was probably going to be bad. The lightning bolts in the forecast definitely.
Like a couple days later, once we got there that Friday, that's when the lightning bolts started showing up.
And that was kind of scary.
Was scary. Yep.
And I remember, so I walked you guys to the metro.
Yeah.
And you guys had your ponchos.
And a pro at the metro.
So you got off the metro, and now you're presumably standing outside in the rain. And
we were soaked.
And it started raining harder and harder. I mean, what's the concern here for you guys at the point? I'm trying to put myself in your position. I'm trying to think. All right.
Well, that whole experience in the morning was awful. Like to get up at 5, be there at 5:30 for a meetup, and it's pouring. It wasn't pouring, but it was raining pretty.
So are you thinking about how you're gonna get? Are you even thinking about the race, or are you just like, just start this thing already so we can?
Correct.
We just wanted to get it done.
And I figured the metro thing was going to be an easy thing. That was a nightmare. That was we had to wait a half an hour.
25 minutes, and then we squeezed into the metro, knowing that if we didn't squeeze into it, we would have waited 20 more minutes.
Me personally, I had my sweatshirt, my throwaway sweatshirt, my pants, the poncho. So it was like a sauna down there. So now we're taking everything off in the metro. So then it was, I don't know, the metro whole situation was a nightmare. It took us a half an hour to get off the metro too, to make it outside.
But that's good. It probably has a good thing in retrospect.
It wasn't a good thing.
But if it was if I was running 50K, I would have never made it on time. So I don't know all those 50K.
And we got to the metro when they opened the doors. It wasn't like you got to the metro late.
Correct, exactly. Yeah,
they opened the gates.
Correct. So anybody who was doing the 50K, if they were in our position, they would have never made the start. Because we were late starting too, so I don't know how they did it. So, but that's a different story.
Yeah.
Well, you guys were running 50K.
Maybe next year or 2 years from now.
I don't know. I got to figure out if I'm ever going to walk normal again before.
Right,
but after the metro, it was torrential downpour.
Oh yeah.
Right. Oh, it was bad. And I was sitting in the hotel room and I'm wondering if I got to take 100-yard walk up the street to get to watch you guys, and I'm wondering if I'm even going to do that. So I can't imagine how it felt for you guys.
Mm-hmm. And then we were super jealous of the people that actually thought about putting garbage bags around their feet.
Or the rubber little soles.
Yeah, they had a rubber.
Well, that's one thing that Ramon told us, and I mentioned it to you, but we didn't really have a chance to look into it, was bringing a pair of throwaway shoes.
But I don't know if they would even helped.
Or your
Well,
old
I mean, you
shoes.
keep your
old shoes.
You wear old shoes, and then right when it starts, you put the dry shoes on. But even how long is it going to stay dry?
It wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah,
If anything, you would have brought me the shoes when. Yeah, that would have
That
been
might have
perfect.
been.
And
That might have helped.
That happened in mile 17.
Yeah.
Kevin and Chad, because I was running with Chantel by then, brought her shoes and brought me shoes, and she decided to change her shoes at mile 17. Kevin's like, I have your socks and shoes. You want? I'm like, nope.
At
I'm
that
like,
point.
my feet are messed up. I'm like, I don't.
You don't even want
care.
right.
She did change her shoes.
And you know, when you have blisters, it's like you don't want to risk necessarily opening those things up or doing whatever. It's like you have to handle them.
And that's when the borderline, when sun started coming out too. So I'm like, I know I'm gonna still hit puddles if I change. I was like, no. But she did change, and she said she was fine.
I would think running in 5-pound shoes for 17 miles and then putting on dry shoes probably feels good for at least a little bit.
But once we got out, it took us half an hour to get off the metro just to get up the escalators to get into like outside. But then they had like the awnings for the metro
for a while.
So by the time we actually made it outside, as soon as 2 minutes right there, because we're still like sardines, like walking to like, our feet were soaked.
Yeah.
Like so. Yeah. It was.
I mean, I felt puddles in my shoe.
Yeah.
I had
I
little
believe
puddles
you.
in my shoe.
It was bad.
But even then, when you thought you were wet, you got wet as.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you've done this before.
Not in the rain. Not in that.
But you've run. No. I mean, were you thinking like when the gun goes off and you start moving?
We didn't even hear the gun go off.
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah,
sad.
you couldn't. Well, they didn't do a flyover either. I think they canceled the flyover.
We were still in the porta potties when the gun went. That's a different story too.
That's a different story. It's coming.
So you guys start running. Now, is it like? I feel like I don't know. I feel like there's so much anticipation up to this moment where you're running your first marathon, your third marathon, third. And then you're standing there in the rain, and you're like, "Thank God it's starting!" But now you're doing it. So, what's the feeling then? Is it like?
I was so happy.
I think by the time we got to the starting line,
it was almost like the rain might have been good.
It was not, just a light drizzle.
Yeah, and we were joking around. We were so what happened was we decided, me, Aura, and Chantel decided to run together, and we decided to do 3 1s, 3-minute run,
right,
1-minute walk.
I think
we were
I think that was Coach's idea, but go ahead.
Whatever, we decided to follow Coach's idea.
I
My watch still had 4 1s though.
Yeah. So
you were running. You decided to run 3 1s.
Yes. And we were very happy, right? All 3 of us were happy.
We saw Marines.
Yeah, so we started seeing the good-looking Marines. I told the girls, make sure, no matter how much pain you're in, go get your medal from the best-looking Marine out there. Because I didn't do that the first year I ran it. That was so much pain. I just wanted my medal. But, so...
And they all call you ma'am.
Oh, I was not happy about that.
It's all right. That's what they call us, ma'am. So we start running together, and we're happy. We're going. We see you guys. We go up the hill.
Yeah, we were there at like mile 2.
Bit. Yeah.
Right, it was like right around mile and a half.
After 1, like between 1 and 2. Yeah, 1.5 or so.
So up the hill. You guys were so thrilled to see us. Baby Ellie was there.
Yeah.
But you guys were doing pretty. You look good. You look good. Still early, but you look pretty good. You're going up, and you were doing the intervals right off the bat.
Yep. Stefany was the.
She's a clock master.
Yes.
She was but Chantel was the pacer, and Stefany was the interval person. I was the 4-1. Like, just ignore my watch. It just beeps every 2 seconds.
Just in case we decide to do, great and want to go to 4 1s. That was her. She was the backup.
And so you guys ran past us that first time. Now, the second time we saw you was mile 4, and now things were different.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about this?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah. Woohoo!
Now, you had... Let's talk about the phobia before we...
Oh, I still have the phobia. The phobia's there.
Stefany's phobia is that she will not, under any circumstances, go into a porta potty. Period. For years and years and years, you've never gone in there.
I've held the first Marine Corps marathon we did together, 7 hours bladder. No wonder I get kidney stones.
It had to be a Guinness Book of World Records.
Let's just put it.
You didn't go to New York either for
No,
New York. I went.
Oh, she did.
To a bathroom in a park because the person kept cleaning right after every
there
runner.
Was a woman there
Whoever
that would
you are,
clean
you
the
were my
bathroom.
angel.
Okay.
Yeah, she was.
So I went there, but
what a wonderful person to do something like that.
So
you have money to tip her?
No, I didn't have any money.
You better go back to that
Yeah.
bathroom tomorrow. And
Yes, on Sunday when we go, I know exactly where it is. Anyway, so what happened during a training run, which was the 16.5 run,
Right.
was that when
Bad
I got
tummy.
up in the morning, I couldn't use the restroom.
Okay. Very
I
nicely
couldn't
put.
go. I'm sorry.
Very nicely
It's
put.
not
it's
gonna
funny because we snap each other on the toilet.
Yeah, we're
too.
like,
That's-
like I can't. You know what? I can't. Whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway.
TMI, but
Yeah.
still,
And this is a runners, right?
All right.
They all
right.
appreciate
We all
it.
We
do
understand.
this, right?
Yeah.
So what happened during that run is I started running, and as soon as I started running, I had to go to the bathroom. Now there are no porta potties in
There
Long
were
Meadow.
actually no. The 16.5 mile was on the trail. There were porta potties there. Remember, I went in there and said somebody was going to be dead in there, so I shut it.
No. This one was here because I stopped
Oh,
at
the 16
Starbucks.
was, yes, that was the one in Long Meadow. The trail was the 15 mile.
Oh, okay.
So, and it's like 4:30, 5:30 in the morning,
Was it the
whatever
one we
time.
okay.
Yeah, that was the one I felt. So now I know that I'm not going to see a bathroom until I do at least 7 miles over, right, to Long Meadow and go to the Starbucks. So I'm holding it in and going, and I don't want to eat any nutrition because I know that if I eat nutrition, I'm going to have to go even more. So here I am, 7 miles, no nutrition. Finally, I make it to Starbucks, show them that, I'm injured, go into the bathroom, do what I got to do, come out, start eating the Jorah, start eating the nutrition. But by then, it was too late. So by the end of the 16 miles, at mile 14, I hit the wall. They said, this is because I didn't have nutrition, all this crap. So I had to, knowing this, what happened to me during the training run, and I'm coming into the marathon, I knew that I had to go to the porta potty. Because when I woke up in the morning, the day of the race, I couldn't go to the bathroom. So I had to go to the porta potty. My friend's here.
But it was like an emergency situation. Like,
Well, not yet.
not yet.
That
This
one
one-
was...
this
See,
one was
me, I'm a
convenience.
nervous Nelly, so I know I'm going to make it to that porta potty before the race. I have to go before the race no matter what. Because I'm like, the nerves, like I said, like you get up in the morning, early in the morning, I can't go. Even and I have like such claustrophobia too, so I'm like, even in the metro, I was like, nope, not freaking out. But once we're walking, I'm like, oh, it's going. And then we saw the first set of porta potties.
Yeah, so we went there because I knew
like-
I had to do it.
It was like a half-hour wait to get to those porta potties. That's why we missed
the start line.
the gun and everything,
Right,
because
right.
it was a long
Oh,
line.
did you call me from there?
No.
Or text
Oh, yeah,
me?
yeah,
Yes,
I
we
think I
did.
did. Oh, after. I said I used the porta potty for the first time.
And then it's funny because like I only had a certain set of wipes. I only had antimicrobial wipes. I didn't have like regular wipes. And she's like, we're like trying to figure it out. After a while, I was like, I'm like, just you
use
go.
it.
I'll give you the wipes. I'll hold on. She didn't even want to touch.
I
the
didn't even
lock.
want to touch the lock.
So I get
because,
to there
yeah.
and she's
Could have
like,
used the poncho.
Ew, no,
No,
I'm still wearing the poncho. Ew.
Emergency situation.
Oh,
so,
no.
but it's funny because she goes ahead. I'm like, I'll watch. You don't have to lock it. I'll watch the porta potty for you. But she was there for like 10, 15 minutes, and I'm like, thought she was like, did she fall into the porta potty? So I'm like, are you okay? And then everybody keeps coming down. I think the line got shorter and shorter. I'm like, are you okay? And I don't know if she could hear me because she's not responding back. I'm like, oh, she's okay. She's like, I'm okay. So I go into the porta potty after her. There's like paper, like
the
wipes,
microbial
toilet
wipes.
paper, and like
Yeah.
all over the porta potty. I'm like, what? I'm like, we were discussing like,
She doesn't know how to hover.
we're like, I'm
No,
like,
I know
she's
how to
like- she's
hover.
like, are you gonna put wipes? I go, you pull a squat, you know.
I said I pull a squat, but I also don't want the germs coming up while I'm squatting.
And now I'm trying to clean her toilet after her, so I'm like trying to put the wipes into the porta
No, I
potty.
did that for you. I left
You
it
left
for
it
you.
there?
I was like, I didn't know that. I was like, but that was tough. Soaking wet to go to a porta potty.
Oh
to
yeah,
pull
to
your
pull your
up.
pants back up.
It's
Those-
like,
oh,
and
I
if you're
know.
wet, you're
I've
already
done that
soaked.
sweaty, not rainy.
No, this is like you're like
I know,
really soaked
soaking
It
in
was
wet.
really hard. It was
feels-
really
And
hard.
then you have like
And then
the,
you gotta-
your poncho
then you gotta go run.
like tied up here and
tied up
everything.
here.
I'm like, I go, what? I'm like, I feel like I'm playing tug of war with
Yeah.
my. That was rough.
Right,
That
so
was-
after mile 2 or so, you had to go again.
Yeah, so I had to go right away. I felt the need to go, so I told the girls just go without me.
What? But then I lost
go-
you a mile 2, and I'm like, I'm
Goodbye,
already. And that's
Pacer.
what my goal was to stick with you as.
Right.
As
So,
well as
and you were
possible.
lucky that Chantel was there and that she
Yeah.
kind of had a similar plan, or at least she adopted your plan.
No, I adopted her plan.
Yeah.
Like.
Okay,
it
so was she
like I said,
similar? Like she was.
Like Chantel was I think she was a 3-1. She's like, I'm doing 3-1s
Mm-hmm.
with you. So it was more you and her discussing this. I'm like, it's my
Yeah.
running
You're going,
buddy and
right,
everything. I'm
you're
like,
just-
going whatever.
Yeah, I'm glad she was there too because
You know, too, is like in your situation, it's like, and kind of with you, what I don't even think we really talked about this, but if you got to like mile 22 and you passed the gauntlet doing the 3-1s and you had energy, then you go, and you could still post a pretty decent time, you know, doing those 3-1s, getting to the gauntlet, and then
And I did.
letting loose.
Because I lost. So I was with Chantel. We were all together to mile 2 before when she went to the porta potty, and then Chantel, she was like I said, I'm like, and that's what's so emotional. I'm like, I met her the previous day,
Right.
so a total stranger, like
Yeah.
being there and everything, and we're like, because I was like, should I wait for you? And we didn't realize it was a long.
no,
line
there
to the
was a
party. She
long
goes,
line.
like, go.
I said just go.
And I felt so bad. And I think at one point you even said, "Do not wait for her."
Yeah.
yeah,
Because I was waiting.
Do not sacrifice your race for her.
I wouldn't sacrifice your race.
Well, see, that's what. And she thought it was my husband who said it. I go, no,
Oh, no,
it's your
that was me.
husband. Yeah,
That was
like,
Coach.
I was like, that was Coach who said it. I was like,
Well, because that was
First of all, I
Time
wouldn't
out.
let her sacrifice her race for me.
right. Okay.
So you didn't
So-
even have to say that.
But I would have said the same thing to you, and I would have told you when you ran by. I would have told you the same thing that
but I
she's
was so
gone.
determined. I'm like, I'm staying with you the whole entire time.
Yeah.
Then I even saw that porta potty.
Yeah,
I was
like,
like,
that porta
and then I'm
potty-
like, and then
I
I just
lost-
waited for her 15 minutes when we were running. I was
Yeah.
like, so now
It would have been horrible if you DNF'd because she DNF'd.
Yeah.
But I didn't see it that way.
I know.
But then I felt bad, but then I felt bad for Chantel because she was also. But I'm like, you know what? And she was like, "Go." I was like, you know what?
She
I'm
can
like,
handle
"Go."
herself. She's tough.
And
She can handle herself.
So then here I am, like,
I may cry like a big crybaby, but I know I'm gonna do it.
and it's weird because when I meet people, I'm so like, I'm an antisocial, like, or like I said, I hate big crowds, so I really didn't get a chance to talk to Chantel
Right.
the night before. So here I am, we just now finally just talking and everything. So here I am, I have a new running.
Yeah.
So she's like, let's go. So she's like, now I'm like, well, I have 4-1s. She's like, I do have 3-1s, so we'll just stick to the 3-1s.
first.
And she was my pacer. If it wasn't for her, she's telling me, I loved her. She's like, you're going too fast.
Yeah.
You're going too fast.
Chantel was
Wow.
me. She reincarnated to me.
That's exactly what she's going too fast. She's like, you're okay. And you know
Well,
what?
it's her first marathon too.
Yeah, and that if it wasn't for her, and I made sure, I was like, did I lose her? I was like, oh my, she's like, I'm back right behind you. Or like, I'm right. We stuck together to mile to the Chris, the last gauntlet,
Yeah.
22, and that mile she ended up hurting her hip, so she had to walk. So we
Right.
were walking for a little bit more than the 3-1s, but then walking hurt me, and I felt so bad. I was like, I can't walk. I'm like, she's like, I can't run.
Yeah.
So she
And
even
that
told me,
happens.
she
I've
even
been
told me,
there
she's
too.
like, you go. I go, no. I'm like, I've been with you now. I left her at 2 miles, so I felt bad. Now
I want to play
you.
violin during this one.
Sure. I'm like, now I'm leaving you at mile 22. She's like, you have a race to run too, so like, go. And I'm like, at least we made it to that last gauntlet, so that's good.
Yeah.
So then I ended up doing my 4-1s.
Well, really, I mean that's the spot. I mean, with this race in particular, it's not like New York. New York, they let you run all day long. It wouldn't matter when you finish. When you finish, you finish. But this one, with the threat hanging over you of not making it in time, that's kind of like the factor that just put,
But I'm like, that was awesome. Total stranger, 2
Yeah.
days, like
Isn't
the
that
day
great?
before and everything to run the whole
I
marathon.
love the
It was
running
like, I was like,
community.
Yeah.
And then it's like, then Kevin and Chad, so my husband and her husband
Right.
were like,
They
at
were
every
buddies
stop,
too.
and
Yeah.
I was like, this is awesome. I was
Yeah.
like, and we're like, oh, there they are. Like,
now you guys are going to
Oh my God.
vacation
Like,
together.
I know.
Yeah, we'll talk about that at the end of this. Yeah. No, I'm actually happy they left because it was like a 5-minute wait in that line.
Yeah, but then you had other issues later on. I mean, that wasn't the only time you stopped.
Exactly. So the first time that I decide to go to the porta potty, here comes my karma. Psh, 4 times. You must
4,
go.
right.
4 times.
I only went once. And I'm usually the opposite. I gotta go.
I mean, proud of you.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Me
I don't
too.
know if
I might get you a porta potty medal.
You know
That's what I do.
I think I would if we rewind 4 years to 2015 and you would have had the same issues, I don't think you stop.
But I
no,
never
I would have
got.
had to.
Well, I don't. You might.
Otherwise, I
I
would've
don't know
been-
if you would have finished the race then.
Oh,
I think
I
you would
understood
have.
your concept. See, mentally, I never, because I don't like the porta. Who likes porta potty? That's gross.
It's not a.
I'm like,
yeah.
But
It's
I'm
not
like,
like,
if you
"Ooh, look,
gotta
a
go,
porta
you gotta
potty."
go.
No.
I'm like, correct.
I
everybody.
don't like public bathrooms. So I do what I do with the porta potty in public bathrooms too. I
Like I said, I'm like, when
and
you
then
sit-
and then I hover and then I like flush with my foot.
There's
Yeah.
no flushing in the porta potty.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. In the public bathroom, I
correct.
flush with my foot.
But I think I never got that because I hate porta potties. But with my nerves and everything, if I got it, I'm like, because like you said, like when you was it Phoenix that you
Yeah.
said, well, my half marathon in Phoenix, my first visual of somebody like going on themselves, and I'm like, what is that?
Oh
It took
yeah,
me, like,
that was bad. Yeah.
It took me like a few minutes to realize. I'm like, that was gross. I was
You
like,
saw it where?
in Phoenix, but
Oh, you
during
did
the
see-
half because you were
Oh,
telling
okay.
me your full
I saw it.
marathon.
Yeah, I saw it, and I saw it early, like mile 8.
Maybe it's the same woman.
Who knows?
Well, it was with you. I was like, what is? I'm like,
Probably the same woman.
I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I don't know. I don't know. I
But
don't
you know,
think about it.
but I can also understand why people do. If you're meant for time and you want to do a PR, I can see why people.
I don't know that people do it intentionally. I kind of feel like they just can't hold it.
Correct, but I said like, if you don't have time, if you don't want to
Yeah.
waste time, like 10 minutes in the porta potty, I can understand that. So
Here,
Right, I can understand running past one and going, maybe I'll hold it, and then all of a sudden you can't hold it,
Yeah.
and then you just
Well-
lose your faculties. And I don't think that anyone kind of like is like, all right, let me just.
Yeah.
it just kind of sneaks out. I think I don't know.
I decided because I kept going to the porta potties. I decided that I would not eat anymore during the run.
Oh, you can't do that.
No,
You mean on during the
this
race?
one.
during the race.
Oh,
I thought you meant
in the
No.
future.
for
No,
future races.
No, during this race. And so
You
I
had a
felt-
stomach bug. You had to have a stomach bug.
I don't know what I had, but I had to stop eating because every time I took those gummies, I was in the bathroom.
It could have been nerves. It could have
I
been.
don't know what it
the
was.
kidney coming off the kidney issues. It could have been a lot of stuff.
But I called you.
You did.
I think mile 13, mile 12. I had to
Right,
stop
and
eating 2
You
miles.
called me and I
before.
didn't pick up because I didn't hear the phone ring, and then I looked down and I had a message. I'm like, uh-oh. I'm
I
like,
didn't leave you a message, did you?
No, I just had a call.
Oh,
Missed
okay.
call. So I said to Sam, because we didn't go out to meet you guys at mile 10. I hope you forgive me.
Okay.
Wheeling the baby out there was it was not happening.
It was crazy.
It was bad.
I thought about letting my dad have the baby, and then taking Sam out because I think Sam would have went, but I thought better
No,
of it.
I mean, look at me. I'm coughing now. She would have gotten sick. It's better to stay. Anyway.
Sam would have loved the adventure. Anyway, I totally lost my train of thought.
Yeah, so you saw I called.
I saw you called, and I'm like, I knew you had stopped at the bathroom once before, and I'm thinking, it's not her day. She called to tell me she's coming home and whatever, not to meet her out at any other spot. And then I called you back.
And I didn't answer.
I left a message, and I
Yeah.
texted you.
So I called you back when I saw your call.
Right.
And, yeah, I mean, I didn't have intentions of not finishing at all. I was going to finish no matter what.
Right. So that was. I mean, we were happy when we heard that you were still running.
I just wanted to know if I could make
was
the rest of the
doable.
race without any
nutrition.
because,
Right.
you know.
And the answer is yeah, you can. You might suffer more pain.
Yeah. Oh boy, did I suffer
But
more pain.
you have tough because you can't do any of the Gatorade.
Yeah, I
Right.
can't
You
do
already can't do the
Gatorade,
Gatorade because of the kidney, and there's other issues.
Yeah.
But that's what. Yeah. I mean,
But you weren't able to hold down water or as much too, or
Yeah, so after I called you and I decided I'm not going to do the chewies, I'm not going to do anything, I'm going to keep going.
Did you have salt?
I had salt at one point because I started getting
swollen.
Yeah,
you get swollen.
So I'm like, I'm going to be fine. I'm not going to need the bathroom anymore because I'm not eating the gummies. So I kept running. Then I'm like, okay, I'm going to hydrate, right? So I would take the whole glass of water, and then again, I had to go to the bathroom. So then I said, okay, I can't do a lot of water. I'm going to have to do sips because I'm still needing to go to the
that sucks, too.
bathroom.
But you got to realize the water, if you don't have the salt to help pull it, like it's just gonna
Yeah,
go
it
through.
just-
Like, you know, 'cause
but I did have the base salt.
You're using that?
I was.
All you do is do
Yeah.
so with the rain.
the base salt I did. That was funny because I'm like, I don't have to lick. I'm like, just base salt. I was like,
Yeah.
But same thing. I didn't follow my nutrition plan. As much
Well, you know what?
either.
That's one of the thing. I think one of the side effects of the rain is you just lose focus, and it's easy to lose focus on things like nutrition and hydration and things like that.
But what Chantel and I did do, we did stop at every stop, and I did train with the Gatorade. So I had my because I had my flip belt with the water, but I didn't use it as much. But at least when I went to the water stations, we would walk it, and they were pretty long.
Yeah.
They were
pretty long.
They are.
That marathon had great stations for hydration and
Yeah.
food. So they would have like the first half would be like the Gatorade. So I would grab a cup, then keep walking, grab another cup of Gatorade, and then here's the water. So now I have Gatorade, water, and then by the end I'm like, okay, so it was. And that took actually a couple minutes to walk through. So I think that's where the time and it was. It was rain. Oh, it was bad weather. But anyways,
the weather sucked.
Well, it's really hard to maintain a plan when you have.
Well, and then at one point, I lost my gummies because I didn't stick in my belt wrong. So like mile 3, it wasn't for Chantel saying, "I'm like, hey, did you drop something?" I'm like, "Oh my god, that's my nutrition." But after a while, it was such a pain to just get them out. So I'm like, you know what? I just used whatever the oranges they had, like the bee stinger, like goo gel thing. I never even did gel before I did the gummies. I was like, you know what? Whatever they say, don't do something new marathon. I did it and I survived. So
sometimes that happens, and I've done that actually in Ironman events when I'm running and I'm like, gee, Brownie looks really good right now. I don't train with brownies, but just but sometimes your body senses that it needs something and it desires something, and you just can take it. And
that would have been great.
And I
just dropped Brownie all over my leg if I had to go and I didn't make it to the bathroom.
Because I only had one, like the flip out one long bottle of like that I put in the back of water. Right. Just in case I needed it, and I didn't want to touch because it's such a pain to put back in. And
I always thought like one of the conveniences of race day is like you don't have to take that weight with you. It's like when you go on a training run, that's 2 pounds of water that you have in your back.
So at mile 17 when I met, I go because that was Kevin. I go meet me at mile 17 because that was the furthest I've ever run. Remember, 16.5 is the furthest. Right. So when we saw that first gauntlet sign, like when we were sightseeing the night before, it was like, took a picture. I'm like, in case I don't make it. So I go to him. I'm like, meet me here because this is the first cutoff. If I don't make it, I'm going home with you on the metro. It was like, we're going back to the hotel. So, okay, I'm like, and I told him, like, bring me my socks, my shoes, and a water. So he had our bag. He was with Chad. Chad had Chantel sneakers and everything. So he had my socks and sneakers. He's like, I'm like, you want your socks? I'm like, no. He's like, where's my water? He's like, you had a water station like half a mile down, mile 16. He's like, I figured you would go. I got water there, but where's my water now? He's like, do you want me to get you some water? I was like, yeah. Who are you gonna go ask a total stranger for water?
He's gonna run a mile back. He's gonna catch up.
That's fine. He's like, do you want your sneakers? I go, no, I'm good, thank you. But I was like, that's the only hiccup. I was like, communication, honey. Did you forget this or anything? He's like,
he's new. It's his first marathon too.
I think he had fun.
Yeah, I think he did too.
I think he did too.
I think he did too. He might actually want to run one of these, but every time.
Let's not get into that story.
It's gonna be like an hour and a half podcast with other stories and everything. But forget my husband right now. So let's keep going.
He might. Who knows? Maybe one day.
One day we'll tell the story because he finished the marathon.
So let me ask you this though. So I know what happened with you. We'll talk about what happened with you when you got close to the gauntlet. When did you kind of like know I've made it through the gauntlet and now I just got to get to the finish and I have all the time in the world and I'm good? Like when did you feel like did you ever feel like oh my God, I'm gonna finish this? Like when did it become
the first cutoff? We made it. And I think we were still doing we were slower. I think we were like a 13-minute pace or so. Maybe still high 12s. Because Chantel was our pacer and everything. So we saw the husbands at mile 17 and we kept going. So it was pretty cool because once we were running to the Capitol.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's fun.
I think because we didn't take pictures at all because it was raining. And so Chantel at one point is like, we're still making good time. Let's take a picture of the Capitol. So we're trying to take selfies, but we cut the Capitol off. So I was like, but that was the first time we actually stopped, sightseeing, and like take a picture of the, so that was pretty cool. I'm like, that, because I didn't get a chance to see the Capitol when I was sightseeing the day before. So we kept going. But then that's when I think it started, like, we were starting to get tired, start aching. We started walking more.
Right.
So then our next was the bridge. Yeah. So I think once we hit the bridge, we're like, okay, we're trying to figure it out. We couldn't even figure out math-wise. Like, we got
should have done what I did.
Like 4.5 miles. And we're arguing. It's like, no, I think we have like 4 miles before the bridge and everything and this. So she's like, whatever, let's just make it to the bridge. So we made it to the bridge. And that's when you see everybody, people are like falling like bricks. Like we saw somebody was getting an IV at mile 20, geez. Like on the bridge. Another person medic. Like it's like, because the sun came out. So it was pouring and the sun, now it's 80 degrees, hot and sunny and no clouds. So to beat the bridge. I didn't realize it was like a 2-mile bridge.
It's a long, hot bridge.
Yeah.
And that's when Chantel was starting, I think, her hips. So I don't know if it was she ran the wrong way but she couldn't run as much, especially uphill. So we were walking more. So we were like, we took time for this. Now we're walking more. I'm like, we can make the Crystal Gauntlet, the last cutoff.
Crystal City, yeah.
Crystal City, yeah. So I'm like, and she was telling me then, she's like, go. I'm like, no, we're going to go to the Crystal City in mile 20. So we're like, where the heck is this damn 22-mile marker?
It's not really well, if I remember right, it's not really that well marked.
Apparently, someone told me. Yeah, well, I'll let you finish and then I'll tell my story.
This time it was because you got to go all the way to the bridge and then I guess you take a left at one point and then you come to the underpass and it's right after the underpass and you see that the mile. So it is well marked. Yeah. But it's like, where is it? Like this is like the longest mile. So between 21 and 22 is like the longest mile ever. And she was hurting and she's like, oh, I'm like, okay. And then you see a lot of people and it's interesting because a lot of people were walking and they were in pain. And finally, we're like,
it's like The Walking Dead at that point. It's like, yeah.
Correct. But then now, once you hit 22, it's the same thing as like mile 10 and 9, where you just see the people coming the opposite way. So you know there's a loop somewhere that you got to turn around. So I'm like, okay, how far is this loop? When am I turning around, making the turn? And that's when we saw Debbie. So we're like, hey, so that was like a little excitement. After mile 22 is the Fireball station. Yeah.
Did you take one?
I didn't realize it was a fireball. I thought it was just. I heard she says like, oh, I just want fireball afterwards. I was like, because I guess she's a fireball girl. I was like, oh, and so she must have known. But as soon as we saw it, she's like, I'm taking it because she was in pain. And she's like, I'm like, I can't think of fireball. I was like, so she did it. I wish I would have saw the beer people afterwards because I guess there's a beer.
I heard that there's beer. Yeah, I heard they got rid of the Munchkin station too.
Oh, see, I would have done.
Well, I wouldn't have any.
Because I would have stopped, had a pint of beer instead of Fireball. But, and then right there, that's when she's like, no, the Fireball's not helping me, and that's when we ended up leaving. But
so when was the moment that you kind of said?
Once I hit 22.
Yeah, you were like, I got it.
I'm like. Like you said, just make it to 22 and you can crawl. You can walk, crawl, and that's like thing. Once I hit 25, like mile 25 marker, because I'm like 4-1. I'm like, and I'm running. I'm like, why is it taking me so long to walk? I'm like, 4-1. I was like, so 25, and I got my Snapchat because I think that was my walking interval. So I'm like, this is perfect. And I took a snap of 25, and I go, this last one is for me. So I was gonna try to run the whole thing, and I couldn't even do that. I was like,
it's hard. You're like, in your mind, you're probably like, oh, it's only a mile. I could, let me just suck it up and do one last mile. And then like a half mile in, you're like, all right, that was a bad idea.
Because I'm like 25, like this last mile, this last 1.2, I'm dedicated. I got this. I'm like, and if I fail at this is ridiculous. I'm like, I'm going to like I said, this guy said, you crawl to that finish line and everything. Even like that 0.2 or whatever the hell.
Oh my God.
I'm like running slow motion. I was like, I think I got this. And that's where I saw Kevin and Chad again. Like, I'm like, hey, you got this. I was like, I think I'm running, but I don't know. I was like, I got it. But the finish line was tough, though. The finish line was tough because it was so busy. There wasn't like the finish line.
Yeah, it had deflated.
Balloon.
Oh, because it was too windy or something.
No,
right?
it deflated. Yeah,
so that's what upset me because I'm like, I'm going up the hill thinking, I'm like, when is the end to this? I see a bunch of Marines lined up. So I'm like, oh, I made it. So I'm like, now I'm like, oh, this is great. High-fiving. And then I realized that.
They were the metal people. Like you're.
No, I'm like, that's not even I thought that was the metal people because they're high-fiving.
The metal people were like a mile away.
Correct. They weren't there. I'm like, wait, I don't remember going over like a mat.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wait, this is not the finish line. So now I'm trying to get to the finish line. So now I'm running and I made it over a mat, but then I see like another mat. I'm like, where's the
There's
end?
always two. I don't know why. Maybe in case it doesn't click over the first one.
So now I'm still running and one Marine finally is like, the finish line was over there.
You're good. Like, you're good, lady. You can stop.
But that's when 25, I think, 22, when I hit the... I'm like, I know, like Scott said, no matter what, you're good. You get a medal no matter what. I was like, okay. But once I hit
you still
25...
but you got it. You got to get there.
Like, that's like there. And I was like, but that was a long 25 mile. I mean, the last mile was like a long... But I was like, I did it. And I'm bawling, too. I was like...
It was a little different for you, though.
Yeah, because of all the bathroom breaks, right?
Right. So you've added time. You probably, the math is all thrown off.
No, the math was there because I had my little signs here.
So it's just, that was like your...
Oh, yeah, my last one. Oh, my gosh. Yep. So I just want to tell them. I know you guys know, but I had a little idea of writing, the the cutoffs.
Which you came up with like 2 seconds
Yeah.
before you left for the race.
So the cutoffs, and then minus 5 minutes, right? So I can give myself 5 minutes, like, I'll know. And for some reason, I wrote mile 23 instead of mile 22, right?
I remember you were writing it down, and it wasn't. What happened was the thing that we were reading, it wasn't clear.
Yeah, but so I picked mile 23. And I put 143, I think. I think the actual cutoff is 148.
Right.
So yeah, so I, now after mile 11, not having any gummies, I'm starting to break down, and I'm approaching mile 17, and I see your husband and Chantal's husband, Chad, and they're videoing me and talking to me, and I'm like, this is so hard. Right? So right before I saw them, I was neck to neck with the Beat the Bridge Pacers, right? Which had me a little confused because, according to my math, I was well ahead of Beat the Bridge. But here I am. Our intervals are off where I'm running, they're walking, and when I'm walking, they're running, right? So I'm like, what the hell's going on? Anyway, eventually had to go to the bathroom again, so they went in front of me. Right? And I was like, it is what it is. But I knew in my head I would still make it, at least to mile 17. So
And you're still doing your intervals at normal pace?
I'm still doing my intervals at normal pace, maybe a little slower, right? So finally I get to mile 17. Boom. Okay. Then I'm like, now I got to get to mile 20. So I'm still in my head. I'm like, I'm doing well. Yeah. So I get to mile 20. And when I hit mile 20, I looked at my watch and it said I did a 16:26 mile.
Was that with the bathroom break involved or no?
No, because that was mile 20.
Okay.
Right? So I go, oh my God, I'm never going to make it.
That's
right.
Yeah,
so
that's scary.
So mile 20.
Because you have to average 14.
Exactly. So now I'm running. I'm like, that's it. I'm not going to walk. I'm going to run. So I'm running. First, mile 21, I'm running. Mile 22, I'm going from mile 20 to 21 running. Mile 21 to 22 running. Right? Because I got to make it. So I'm running. Mile 22, I'm running. All of a sudden, I look at, I'm not looking up. For some reason, I decide to look up now. And I read this sign some woman's holding. If you're reading this, you're going to finish the race. So I'm like, what? Did we pass the gauntlet? And someone said, yeah, like 50 feet back.
Oh, you missed it?
Yeah.
She didn't see it.
I didn't see it. I'm like, really? I start crying. And then I start walking. Because by that time, I didn't have it in me. I just gave the remaining energy I had left.
That was that other long bridge, and that was a hot
that was
bridge.
a hot bridge.
That was a hot bridge, and I was like, oh.
And I ran that thing. I had no choice.
And I think I was like, where the waterless, like the water cup less, whatever it's called. Like,
oh, yeah, but you have tanks on the side.
Correct, but if you don't have a cup to, so I'm like, this is a long, that was, I think, the longest where we needed water.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't have a container.
Right, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah, you're like, but like you said, I'm like, people were dropping at the 25, 26.
Yeah.
I'm like.
Well, too, sometimes people are in shape and they just go out too hard and they just bonk, they hit the wall.
You'll never make it.
And especially, it's very hard. It's very, especially, some people, you train really hard and you really think you're going to PR or you're going to set a certain time limit, or some people are brand new and they think they're faster than or they've done a 15-mile training run. They've never gone to 26, they just, but they don't have a good frame of mind for pacing or whatnot. And they just hit a wall for whatever reason. I mean, you see pros do it.
Like I said, like you see, I think people on the side of the road or the side of the streets, they look like, I'm like, you see like that, like the runner's physique and everything. I'm like, why? I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, they're already cramping up, like trying to massage, like, or people dropping like flies. So you don't think about this. I was like, oh my, but at that point, I'm like, nutrition wise and everything, I felt good. I think I'm like, I didn't feel dehydrated. I didn't get really significant cramping. I think the only thing is like same thing, like you're using your muscles, so my hamstrings and my so
it hurts.
Whatever was bothering me, like the previous days, like, oh, I can't go because it was more like my calves and my shins because I always have shin splint issues.
That didn't bother.
No, it was more.
I find that fascinating about your race is that you had all these little injuries in training and all that stuff, and then you had like nothing normal.
Like the lower back, I think I only had one issue with lower back, and it was like a 10-miler, and that's the one I said I cried because you were, I think, in New York too, and I called my husband. I'm like, I made it to mile 5, and suddenly my back started like spasming and swelling up, and I thought I couldn't finish, And Kevin, come pick me up at mile 5. He's like, but I'm like, I still have to do another 5. So I struggled. That's my first time I ever cried during training. And I felt bad because I'm like, you cried during all the hill intervals and everything. I was like, I feel so bad. I was like, yeah. But that's the first time, like, I physically, like, I'm like, I can't do this. I was like, and that's what was more concerned. Like, my lower back starts to, like, do the same thing. And I told Chantel, too, because she's like, I have back issues, too. So we kept asking each other, how you doing? And towards, actually, once we finished, I go, I sort of lied to you. I'm like, a mile 9, 10, my back was getting sore, but not, like, that bad. So it was just sore, like, I think just... But other than that, it was just the hamstrings and glutes. While everything, it's usually the calves, the knees, the shin splints, and I can go run another marathon right now.
No, you'll have your opportunity.
Yeah.
So you ran through the finish line and then you realized you were done, but you got to the hill. So now you've made it through the gauntlets.
Oh yeah.
And you've kind of been walking. I don't even know. It sounds like you didn't even really run much after the gauntlets.
No, I walked it all the way, and
so let's talk about when you get to the hill.
Can I just back up a little bit?
You can back up.
I think the camera... Oh, no, the camera is
It bounces up and down, but it's okay.
So, I got to say this because, the reason why I ran this race is for my dad. Right? So, and I might get a little emotional, so sorry. I was kind of happy that...
So why did you run the race for your dad? Let's talk about that.
Because he passed away.
Right.
Anyway.
But he's a Marine.
Mm-hmm. Proud.
And we ran this together in 2015 in part because your dad's a Marine and my dad's a Marine. So it's a very special race. Mm-hmm. We stayed together that whole race, even though you wanted me to go.
Yeah. Can't leave me behind.
And kind of for our dads, I feel like.
That's awesome.
So it's a very special race to begin with, for you especially. Mm-hmm. So, and you had a little sign.
Yeah. Oh.
You made a personalized bib for yourself, and people were running by and they were saying...
Yeah, they were saying, God bless your dad, and talking to me. But in a way, I was kind of happy that we got separated, because I was a little bit in my head thinking about him. I don't think I would have been able to do that with the girls, so... Yeah.
So, with those last few miles, you kind of channeling his memory, and...
And it's funny, because when I was running to get to mile 20... Like, I kept talking out loud, and it was never, it was never, I'm going to make it. It was, we're going to make it. We're going to make it.
You do talk a lot.
Yeah.
Like, what did you say? She's like,
yeah, no,
she's like, I'm talking to myself.
Talking to myself.
But, no, like,
yeah, so.
You did good and everything. But
you're good.
Can we talk about
Friday
the blue mile, too, though?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you can't not talk about that.
Oh, I cried there, too.
Oh, my God.
I always find that the act of running, for some reason, and maybe it's because you're kind of pushing yourself and you're in your own head, it kind of heightens your emotional state. And then you come across something like this. So, I mean, I've done it before, and it was really moving. So it was in the rain, I'm sure. And,
that was the puddle,
yet,
like the word,
that was the 5-inch.
And all those volunteers, though, still standing out there with the flags.
I didn't realize there was, I know there was pictures and everything, but I didn't realize there was, at the end of that, there were people holding flags, and then I didn't realize till after the race those were the family members.
I don't know if they're all family, but I'm sure.
I think they try to put all family members.
But that's what they say. I'm like, at least that's what the.
I feel like when we ran, there was a couple signs that the family members were standing at the sign, which was like, it was like, whoa.
But
they were standing there cheering you, and you're like.
In the pouring rain, so you're like running in the rain, so you're doing this because you want, but they're actually just holding flags.
Right.
In ponchos.
Mm-hmm.
But they're there for you. They want to watch you, and they're doing it in tribute for their loved one.
But it was and they're like, high-fiving you and this and that. I had my a green Red Sox. I'm a Red Sox fan. Sorry, I'm a Boston girl. Well, even though I'm from Springfield, but anyway, Boston girl, Patriots. But I had a green Red Sox fan. Cap, and I did all my trainings in that. So I'm like, I go to Stefany.
So it's gross.
Yes, I'm like, I'm not washing this. I'm not washing this till I finish this race and everything. I'm like, but I'm wearing this to the end. And they kept calling me Boston. Go Boston, go Boston. I was like, I'm like, and I finally figured out. I was like, oh, it's me. Oh my God. But it was awesome. And like I said, I'm like, I just thought there were volunteers just holding flags. Like I said, I don't know if it's true or not, but when you read the pamphlets and everything, they say that those were the members, or the family members of the people that...
Right.
And that, but even seeing that, I'm glad it was raining, because I'm not an emotional person, and I'm like, bawling my eyes out, like seeing that. And I cried twice during this marathon at that Blue Mile,
At the finish.
and then my 20. I was like, I got this.
It's hard not to cry at the Blue. I'm with you on that. It's hard not to cry.
It's interesting because I recognized one picture because I'm a CrossFit girl. No, I was hoping to see that guy, Tommy Sullivan, but he wasn't there. But I'm a CrossFit girl, so Memorial Day weekend, you always do the Murph workout. So that's like there's a Murph workout where it's like a bunch of pull-ups, running. It's a crazy workout. So any CrossFitters know what I'm talking about. So I see a picture of Lieutenant Murphy. I forget his name. It's so bad, but it's Murph workout. And I see that picture. I was like, and I recognized it. I was like, oh, I'm like, now I appreciate this workout because I hated that workout more. And then then I realized I'm like, oh, his family members probably were there and everything. I wish. But that's when the pole puddle situation was. So you had to go all in the middle.
Yeah.
And some of the pictures were brought to the left because it was duplicate. Left and right had the same pictures, and then, but that was when it was chaotic and it was raining. It was bad. It was like puddles, but it was emotional. That was emotional, big time.
I'm glad you guys brought that up. Well, so back to your finish.
So I was running, and then it got really hard at mile 24. Like my feet were in so much pain. So I said to myself, I am going to go home if I see the next medic. Just because I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it anymore. And of course, I see a little cart medic. I don't know what the little golf cart.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm going. Beep, beep. Yeah. I was like, my saviors.
You're so close.
I was so close. I know.
But I had the same
you
feeling
would have really
classic.
quit at the 20. Like I said, like you're so close. And
I know. But I was in a lot of pain, and like my head was like not there, and I wanted to go to the bathroom again. It was just bad. So I get there, and I see this man wearing a bright green shirt, and he's like standing and shaking, and they're, putting, you said an IV. I didn't know what they were doing, and I'm like, oh yeah, like that needs to go in there. Like I need to finish that. I'm not an emergency.
You're not that.
That's an
you
emergency.
You can keep going.
Yeah. So I kept going. It was like a little reality check. Like, you're not collapsing here like that poor man.
And then you get to the hill. So the Marine Corps Marathon, one of the features, along with the Blue Mile, is at the very last quarter mile, not even quarter mile, last few hundred yards is a very steep uphill.
Oh, I knew the hill was coming.
You knew.
Thank God you warned me.
We've been talking about that. Well, we actually even trained. Do you remember when we were trained on the hills? And I said...
we did a half marathon at one point, like for halfway through our
New
running.
Hampshire, right?
And there was a hill, and she was like, because I'm a little ahead of people, so I left her and everything. She's like, the hill sucks. She's like, we talk about the hill by the mansion. I go, yeah, just remember the hill. Because at 0.2 or 0.1,
that's the hill.
She was like, I'm like,
yeah.
But it's funny because Chantel knew there was a hill, but she didn't realize. So I guess it was a slight hill, like right before that.
Yeah.
She thought that was the hill. That was the one that you make the left.
I go, I don't remember any hill other than, because I knew mentally, I was like, where's this hill? Where's this hill?
It's at the very end.
And then it was like that banner. What was it? The Garmin banner. I was thinking it was a Garmin banner. I was like, oh, here comes the hill and everything. I was like, and that hill was long. I was like, that hill was like, and that's where I saw Kevin and Chad. I'm like,
sucks.
Did they make it over there to the hill? They figured out how to get there, huh? Because I saw
you were having issues. He was telling me you were having issues with that.
Well, I had the baby and Sam,
and they told
and it started to get really hot.
Because I think somebody told.
So someone told me I couldn't. There's no way I was going to get over there.
So I'm wondering if that was either they told him to that, or at one point like one person told him, or somebody told him like you can't. And then they saw a Marine, they're like, just go around. So they had to get the wands to like metal detectors before, but a Marine was like, go that way. I don't think they were supposed to, but some guys
they figured it out. Yeah, I don't think I would have made it with the baby.
No,
but I also
probably
think
not would have struggled.
You know too is I would have, because I had asked the guy before you finished. So because I didn't know where she was, I didn't know how long it was going to take, and I had to walk with the baby and everything. So I'm like, all right, we'll get there a little early. And so I saw Kevin, I told him to go there, and then I went back to the hotel room, and we hung out there for half an hour, and then we came back out. So I'm actually glad we did what we did.
Yeah.
Because the baby out in that sun was probably not.
But you know what, talking about, you're saying, like, seeing people who were hurting, and who were, like, to see, when we were running, Chantal and I, we were running, and at one point we saw an amputee. Running.
There were a lot of them.
There were a lot.
There were a lot of them.
And I'm like, to say, like, for you to complain that you're running in the ring and you're in this, like, I've even seen like the Marine guys in their gear with their backpacks, you know, like,
I saw two women, like
the backpack
short,
guy,
I saw two women, short women, carrying these big packs, and I'm just
like they're in the full gear, like the military gear, like you're like with their boots and everything. They're military, and to you guys talking about your parents are not a Marines. My dad is not a Marine, but he's an Army guy. So when I first told him, I'm like, oh, I think I'm doing that, thinking he was gonna be all upset. He was so proud. He's like, hey.
That's funny.
Because he's like, the Army only has a 10K. That's the only thing. I mean, the 10-miler. I think there's a 10-miler for me.
Yeah.
So like they were like, you got, and they were like so proud. I was like, I guess no matter what, like
it's still
military branch.
I wonder if I could find on here, but we were watching. We were waiting for you guys, and we saw like maybe 4 or 5 Army guys with Army shirts run by, and I asked my dad. I said, "What do you think of Army guys running the Marine Corps marathon?" He's like, "I think that's great."
I love you.
I'm like, "Come on, I want
no controversy."
I was like, because I'm like, is it hooah, oorah? Like all I'm saying. But he was like, this is because he's always been a runner. Like, so growing up, he used to, because obviously for the training and everything, he was reserved. I'm like, why do you run? I was like, this is like, it seems so torturous. So as I got older, I started running, and that's on our bucket list. He's like, we should run, but he's old, so he can't. He's injured.
I tried to talk my dad into doing a marathon. Because I told him he can do it.
He's a smart guy.
And he's like, I just don't want to do it.
So now after he did it, he's like, good job. He's like, did you do it? Because he knew I was like, I don't know if I feel like I'm injured. I'm like, or like I'm in pain and I can't do it. He's like, just do whatever you can. So he's like, did you make it? I go, yeah. He's like, that's all that matters. And then I text him like, maybe we can do that Army 10-miler someday and everything together. He's like, yeah. He's like, I don't know. But at least he wasn't upset. So like how like. I don't know how defensive they get and everything, like, oh, you're not in this military branch or anything. So I think it all comes. It was great. Like, I'm like, it was awesome. I'm like, he was proud. He's like, good job. He's like.
So I mean, we've been talking about this for like 5 years. If you're gonna run a marathon,
she did it! Yay!
What do you think? What do you think of that medal?
I'm so
and what a great medal to be your first medal.
I'm like, I love it. I was like, and
they do
color.
awesome medals. Our medal was great. These medals are just. I love
blue. Yeah. It's my favorite. I think they knew I was running at this show, but that 50K one was nice.
Oh my god. Anyway, I'm gonna get to that story. I'm gonna finish my racing story because
we're all over. I'm sorry.
I have someone to thank.
You're right. We have to. Right. Yeah, I think this culminates in your finish.
So I knew that hill was coming, and I was so.
I've been trying to get her to tell a story all the way through, and she keeps going to something else.
I'm sorry.
No, she keeps going to like.
I was so tired. I was in pain. I was so done, mentally done, and here I am. I'm walking toward the hill, and I'm like, fuck her. I gotta get up that stupid hill now, and I'm crying. And here comes June Walker, who is volunteering at the medical tent,
that
by
last
the finish
medical
line,
tent,
And she was like, there she is!
That's awesome.
Yep.
She was tracking you, I think.
She was tracking me, and I put my arm around her. She walked me all the way up that hill. I was crying. I was like, I don't want to cry during my finisher picture. And she goes, let's go to my tent. I'll give you a mascara and lipstick. I'm like, I'm not walking to your tent. No, I'm not walking.
Let me just walk the tent before I cross the finish line.
And
that's awesome.
And the same thing with you. I was looking for the finishing, balloon
thingy,
whatever they call it,
the inflatable thing.
And I didn't see one. And then June.
What a crazy thing that, I mean, you guys, I feel like you missed out on a couple things.
It was windy though. It was windy the night before and everything.
So June is like, there you go. And she like pushed me and let me go. And I go to turn around to thank her. And she was like, she disappeared. Like, I couldn't even see her back. She was nowhere. She was like the angel.
She just showed up
like
and
that
carried
show.
you.
I forgot what that show was.
That'd be funny if they took the finishing pictures and then there was no.
It's just angel.
It's just you like this with no one there.
That is awesome. I was like, can we Photoshop that? That'd be great.
So I go to thank her. She's not there. I'm like, okay. So I'm walking now. I'm walking past the Marines, high-fiving. They're like shaking my hand. I'm crying. All of a sudden,
Good job, ma'am. Good job, ma'am.
Yeah. And they're so they good posture. And I'm like this by this point, I want to fall down. But it was never ending. And then after that, they start giving me like a plastic bag, and I felt like throwing up since mile like 22. I was really nauseous. So
Did you just dump the plastic bag? Because you came out and you were just carrying a plastic bag.
No, I didn't take
was that
anything else but the plastic bag.
Oh, okay.
I'm like,
Nope.
You're like,
Nope. Didn't take anything else. I wanted to throw up, and if I didn't want to throw up, I needed to go to the
It
bathroom.
was like Christmas. My plastic bag was full.
But no, nothing. Yeah, like I didn't see the medals. Like
No, the plastic bag was after them.
Oh.
But it's like there
they're
was a lot of
missing it up.
Marines.
But there was a lot of Marines, and I'm like,
Right. And
where are my medals? I'm thinking, oh my god, what if there are any
There's
medals?
no more medals.
left?
Well, that's like at one point I was like, "Where's the medals?" So then after a while, like it branched off, said 50K and then marathon. So I took your advice, like make sure you go to the hottest Marine ever. And make sure you take a picture.
I wasn't that tired. I picked a good looking Marine.
So I was
this
like,
time.
I'm like, Stefany said I gotta go to the hottest Marine. So I'm like looking, I'm like, well,
I wasn't that picky now. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
I was like, but then I was, so they're like, what do they say, Semper Fi and everything?
Yeah.
Like they salute you, Semper Fi, and then they go, ma'am. I'm like, ma'am? Like, who are you calling a ma'am? I was like, but he put some medal. I was like, but I didn't get a picture with them, and
Me
I'm so
either.
upset.
I still didn't get a
oh.
picture. So my Marine said to me, Semper Fi, thank you for running this race, ma'am. We'll see you next year. I go, oh, you won't see me at all anymore. I made sure I told him that.
Unless you do the 50K.
No. Then talk to me when my legs feel okay, all right?
I'll just have you
give me like
take
2
a couple
weeks.
more bottle of wines and everything.
So,
And then I got the bag, and then I saw the husband, and then I want to go to the bathroom again.
But the
and
finish line,
And the
that was
daughter.
terrible.
And the
The
daughter.
finish
And the
line, the
stepdaughter.
family thing, whatever, that was like another mile.
we knew where she was going to come out.
Even the hill.
The hill to that.
Yeah. Well, we knew where you were going to come out, and we were kind of just standing there. We were like, we were.
Well, the finish, because they were like, go under S for Schaefer. Go under. I'm like,
I didn't even see any.
I didn't
Ted,
see any.
go-
I didn't see any names or
Names.
numbers or letters or anything like that.
No.
It was just.
So the friend came was like, where are you? Are you there? I'm like, no. I'm like, I'm lost. I'm like, well, I'm not lost. I'm trying to get out of this.
Yeah.
But he's like, where? I'm like, so I'm Googling. I'm like, I'm between this street, that street. And
Well, you know what's good is the
I
app,
shared
the shared
my
location.
location.
I did that first thing in the morning.
Yeah, which was really smart because you guys had your phones, so we were able to know exactly where you are. And as you're walking, I'm like, all right, you're getting closer, and then we saw you through the fence.
But I stopped sharing. I
Yeah.
share my location, but then I put it on. Is it do not disturb for a couple? Chantel showed me how to do this for a couple hours.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm like, does it work? Does it not work? I was like, but I'm like, let me just share my location for whoever.
For whoever
because
wants. Right. Today, you,
I'm known
right,
to get lost. So
right, and then you got home and your house was robbed. But you guys, I gotta say, you worked hard.
I gotta say thank you.
You guys did the
You
work.
dealt with it.
You did the
You
work.
dealt with a
You
lot.
dealt with a lot.
No,
of
I didn't
complaining.
deal with it.
You dealt
guys,
with a lot
you
of
guys did.
complaining.
No,
You guys
sometimes
did the
I'm
work.
like, no, you dealt.
Remember when he got mad at me?
You, oh my god,
I
was
got
like,
mad at both of you at
I
times.
know, but it's funny.
Do what you want, he said.
I'm like, I'm running the full. Because like, I don't want to run 5 miles. Okay, do 4. I'm like, wait, he just give you 4. He's like, and then he's like, 4. Do it. I was like, I'm just running the 6, 5, 10, whatever. I'll run the full marathon right now.
Oh, I remember that run. That was the one where you kept going, right? At the house.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm going. I was
Yeah,
like, shit,
yeah.
I'm done. I was like,
done.
I'm still going. I just remember who. No, but yeah, I think you did great. Thank you. You
guys
dealt with a
did
lot.
the work. You guys started very late in the game.
And that's
And-
another issue because we were like procrastinating for a
Yes.
bit. Like after a while.
I know,
it was
and I know you're both thinking about it, and you might be going more towards I do a half, but you're going to do more fulls. And
I remember when Aura was like, hey, are we doing this? Because it's late. And I'm like in Ecuador burying my
and that's
dad.
what I felt bad because I'm like, what are we doing? I'm like, because I don't, cause like I said, I'm so used to signing up for marathons and just not
And just
running
not
them
doing
and
them,
everything. I
right.
was like, I just
Keep doing that
keep
forever.
donating my money to all these marathons. And then I felt, and then you were like, I'll call you later, or I'll text you later. My dad passed away. I was like, oh, I'm such a jerk right now.
Wow.
Beep, beep. I was like, sorry. I feel like such.
No,
I was like, oh, but you know, and then you said, I'm like, I have to do this for my father.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I think that's what got us to go. So I did it.
And well, in a way, I mean, that's a tribute.
Yeah.
In
He
a way,
would have
that's a
been proud.
tribute.
You know, he was a happy runner. So.
He was.
So you contribute the whole marathon to your dad.
Mhm.
Before I left, I asked Emma, I'm like, Emma, what mile do you want me to contribute to you? She goes, mile 7. I go, okay. What mile do you want me to contribute to Carolyn? She goes, mile 17. And that was like my furthest. Like,
Right.
I was like, okay.
That's cool.
I go, what mile do you want me to contribute to Shamrock? That's our dog.
The dog.
Mile was 11. Shamrock was 11. So right before the Blue Mile. So I did that. I was like, I didn't contribute. I didn't have a list like everybody. Chantel had a list.
Right, Chantel did that. Yeah.
And she followed her list. She was like,
yeah. That's great.
So then finally, like the last 3 miles, so 23, I contributed to my grandmother who has Alzheimer's. So I was like, okay, this is for you, Grandma. And then 24 was for Kevin, and 25 on was for me. So Kevin was upset. He's like,
you took like 2 miles for yourself?
No, I took 1.2 miles for myself. But Kevin's like, you see on Facebook, everybody posts the last miles for their significant other and everything. Of course, you're the only selfish one who got it. Yeah, I was like, at least you got mile 24, the one before that and everything.
Sorry,
so
babe.
Like,
It's all for my
so,
dad.
So we finished this race, and then we hung out with the other Team Ordinary people, and we had a
my god!
blast.
Oh my god! How much fun! How much fun!
They're awesome.
Yeah.
I love like.
And you know what's funny is like we really, I mean, we've met once before with a bunch of these guys in
Debbie
Arizona.
and Ray, yeah.
And we love those guys. And we hung out with Katie when Katie came out for the 5K. And we also met her for a 5K in Boston one time.
And she's coming to Ellie's birthday party.
Right. And it's amazing how a lot of these people just kind of become family. And, you know, it's almost like they've been long lost friends that you just kind of met online and started running. And God knows how they attached themselves to our group and we attached ourselves to them. But, you know, we got there, we met everybody, and the people that hung around, the people who went to lunch with us, you know, thank you, Jorah. You know, and I think of like the Bill Costellos, who I've met a bunch of times, and Danielle and Mike Rosevalley. Now I'm going to name people, and I'm going to forget a whole bunch of people.
June Walker was there.
Who? June Walker was there.
Chad.
Right, Chantel and Chad.
Kevin and Aura, Debbie early.
Well, we were going to meet Frank Fumick. We never wound up meeting him. He had a little Ronald Booth, right? And he came with his friend
to dinner and
Brendan. They came to dinner.
Yeah, he was nice too.
Yeah, I would have liked to have hang out with them a little bit longer, but eventually we'll come around and that'll do it. And so I think what happened was we left this marathon. We've been talking already about doing Philly next year. So we talked about doing Philly beforehand, and a lot of people are on board. So we're already on board for Philly. And I think the good thing about Philly, in a way, is that there's a half marathon option. So it's open to more people. People who may be like, all right, well, I'm a little nervous about doing a marathon,
because I retired.
but I can do a half.
No, you didn't. I convinced you.
So I think it's a little more accessible to people, and it's, you know, it's. I think it's also there's more of a chance to get in. I don't think that there's a lottery system, so we can all get in. And what happened was, I think everyone was like, oh, this is like November of next year. That's like a whole year away. We got to do something else. And someone, I don't even know who did this. Katie. Figures. Love you, Katie. Katie said she was doing the rock and roll half in Atlantic City, or she found the rock and roll half in Atlantic City. And with, you know, all of a sudden everyone's on board for that.
Yeah, but now
as soon as I heard that, I was like, Atlantic City. Gambling, slot machines. Like, I was like, I'm in.
Well, you know you can get your husband. You know Kevin will go to that, too.
So we started a Facebook Messenger group, right? So we all added people that are going to be
Have you guys registered for this race already? Because I didn't.
I haven't yet because I want to make sure my legs feel good.
I will right now after like this whole podcast.
We got to figure out maybe we can get your mom to go and watch Ellie.
We'll figure it out. But
I'll watch Ellie.
But just so you know, we're all planning like party house for AC.
But it has to have more than one bathroom.
Yeah, more than one bathroom.
I'll do porta potties.
I call dibs in the bathroom.
But I do invite anyone in the community, in the Team Ordinary community, or
coming
Ordinary.
out. We're doing 2 races.
Yeah, I mean,
AC, Philly.
Come meet us. I
want to meet you guys.
But you know what? For a person who's like I said, I'm like so socially awkward or like scared to meet new people. This was great. This is awesome.
They were incredible. I said one of the things I said to Katie was like, normally when you meet people, there's like a 15% chance that the person you're going to meet is like someone you kind of don't want to hang out with.
Correct.
And we met 15 people at lunch. We met a couple more later. Not one person where you're like, I could do it out that way.
But it's like, for example, like I'm so like I said, I'm like I just socially awkward. Ray, I met, or at least I knew who he was from Phoenix, the half marathon when we went and everything.
And Debbie.
But I don't think I met him officially. So Debbie I did meet. So Debbie and I, through the whole team and everything, she cheered me on, running here and there. So she was great too. But even Ray, when I saw him, like I'm like, I know who he, because you see him from the page and everything. We know who we are.
Right, you know who they are, but you never met them in
hey,
person.
how's it
It's
going?
like,
Like, so
you never know how people are gonna act when you see them in
correct.
person.
So that morning, I was like, I knew Ray. I'm like, hey Ray. I'm like, I don't like who the. He probably was like, who the hell is this person? And I'm like, you want a rain jacket? Poncho. So he's like, no, I'm good. But after the race, when we were like trying to get beers at the lobby and everything, he saw me and I saw him like, hey, and I'm like, I'm just gonna say hi. I don't know if he recognized me. He came over, he's like, congratulations, your first marathon, and he hugged me. I was like, that's awesome. I'm like, good job, Ray. I'm like, how'd you do? He's like, good. So that was like, I'm like, so I guess he knows.
You're in.
Like, like I was like,
You're in.
I'm like, this is like,
I love our group. I love our group.
I'm like.
I also don't want it. I don't want it to seem like it's like we've got our group and you can't come in.
No.
I feel like it's very like it's a very
come in. We like.
Yeah, it's a very accessible group of people. It's
the
like
more the merrier. That's
right.
my philosophy.
And you know what I think of too is when we were in Arizona, we met Kate Reed.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember Kate Reed,
I love
but
Kate. She's
Kate,
great.
Kate the Great. Kate was on the podcast, and Kate had similar issues with meeting people. She was very kind of nervous about meeting people, but she was kind of going through this period of time where she was like testing herself, and she's like, "I'm going to go
out to AC, to
Right.
Atlantic City."
So she's like,
Philly.
yeah,
or
she
boat.
just-
Come out to boat.
She hopped on a plane by herself from Texas to Arizona, and just I'm gonna meet people. And
That's
and
awesome.
I remember her telling the story like she was standing there and she kind of saw people that she thought she recognized, and she's like, "Well, should I introduce myself, or maybe I'll just go back to the hotel room?" And then she decided to introduce herself, and all of a sudden it was like she had a great weekend. And I remember like going to the hotel after the race and seeing her, and I was pushing you on the luggage cart.
I'm gonna go sidetrack though, Scott.
Yeah.
So I've known you for 8-9 years now and everything.
Yeah.
So when you started running yourself,
Right, you knew me before I started running.
correct. So it's pretty cool for you to start this, like and to see you come this far and gotten this whole group, a team, and everything.
I got a whole room.
like I said, like that whole that half marathon we did together. That was like your
Right,
second
that was-
half marathon.
that was-
And
you
like,
were there
my
in the
PR
beginning.
and everything. So
That was a big race for me, by the way.
that was that was after the nipple chafing and everything. I think that your first one was the nipple chafing. And
Well,
then-
no, I didn't actually. The nipple chafing was during a training run, but I had done the shirt that was the shirt that I destroyed from that race from Cheshire. I had done a half marathon and I had to walk the last bit of it, and it bothered me that I wasn't able to run the whole way. So I trained really hard for another month to do that one that we went to. I remember like being in the car and we're like driving, and I just remember being focused on it. And you were like kicking ass at that point.
And then my GPS, like you remind me that like my GPS went off and everything. You're like,
We were on the highway, and it's like oh, make the next turn, and she's like, and then the GPS went dead. And we're like, what next turn? And we're like driving another mile, and then like it finally clicked on. It's like, make the next right, and it was like 2 lanes over, and she's like, but we got there.
but it was awesome. Like I'm like to see like you'd start from where you like you're running and gone to be an Iron. You fascinate me, and for you to start this whole group and this
Well, I'm
kudos to
glad
you.
you're a part. I'm just, I'm just
kudos
glad to know people. I'm glad.
And I'm like. Yeah, it's like I'm like kudos to you, like meeting all these wonderful people. I'm like, you did it good. You're doing good. So keep it up.
All right, we'll see you in Atlantic City. Hopefully, I'll see you
Then
before
we'll
that.
see her in
Thanksgiving in New York. We'll see you next
tomorrow.
weekend.
I'm your third child. Like I'll see you tomorrow. But I'm like that's
tomorrow.
And thank you
my
for
gosh,
Well, you know what?
thank you for tolerating me and
Tolerating
coaching me
you.
up, so.
Thank you for putting up with my. I can't do these hills. I effing hate these hills.
Well, let's.
In all full disclosure, you frustrated me so much. These hills, she would make it to this marker, and she'd make it, and then she stopped like 5 feet away, and then she'd be like, Stefany, just keep running. I'm like, you just made it. You just keep running to the 5 minute, that's the finish line. I'm like, but you did it. So like I said, I was like we all had our quirks.
I think this race for you guys, it posed some very different challenges. For you, it was your first one.
Yeah, it's all mental.
And the weather was insane.
So is that what my husband says? Is it 80% mental, 20% physical?
Well, that's because that's his way of saying I can run one. It's 80% mental.
He has to run one. He has to. We haven't forgotten, Kevin. We haven't forgotten the bets.
Well, we'll see about, we got him Thanksgiving this year. We'll try to nail him down. See if we can get him to drink some wine. And
I'm going to sign him up for
we actually got to sign him up.
We'll sign him up and then say.
We get him to commit. See, the thing is, we get him to commit. We just never get him to actually sign up. He's like, yeah, I'll do it. Then he wakes up the next morning and he's like, oh, that was stupid. No, at least I didn't commit.
Hey,
I know.
I I did it. I did the
Look,
bikini.
you guys impressed me for different reasons. For you, your first one, I knew you were nervous. The rain could not have helped. And you didn't do the 20 miler, and the last month was we just kind of everything kind of fell off the map, and we were just, I knew that you could do it. I just didn't know if you knew you could do it.
And I think it's all like the mental block, the mental.
And you did it, and
You've done it though. So
no, she's done it, but I mean, do you understand how hard when you deny yourself going to a porta potty because you can't physically step in? I've been there, and she's like, her bladder's about to explode, and she says, "No, I can't."
Because I would be that person you're running and you see that streak. It's just like TMI, but I could never do this.
But then but then they have to stop 3 or 4 times and then get out and keep going. I mean, then you screwed up your time. You had to wait online. You had to do all this stuff, all this extra BS that right? All this extra. So I mean,
good for you.
Awesome race. Awesome race. And honestly, like when I saw that you had called me, I thought you were cooked. I thought you were done.
Well,
and you proved me wrong.
Faith, you have little faith.
No, it wasn't that.
I guess she's mad at me too for that.
I think
too.
You know what it is. It's almost. You remember when Jim had the remember when Jim was listed as a DNF during Ironman Maine, and we were like, "What the hell?" And we were worried if he got into an accident and was in an ambulance. Sort of like a similar thing. Okay. It was more like that. It wasn't like I didn't believe in you. It was more like I thought that you had already told me that you were going. You had
medical issues.
Right. There was stuff going on with you that
That's right. That's right.
So it was more like, and I remember even telling you like. There's a DNF is not the end of the world. I've done it before a couple times. It's not the end of the world. It's just, I don't know. You had to dig deep though to find it and to overcome that.
Me too. It's like when I crossed the finish line, I must have snapped pictures and she got the snaps. I get a phone call from her and I'm like,
right. You got to be thinking the worst.
I'm like, I'm like, hello? I'm like, where are you? She's like, I'm at mile 24 and a half. I was so excited to hear that because I thought she was like, she didn't want to call me until I finished to tell me that she didn't finish because I knew you were struggling initially. So I was like, so when I heard him like 25, but I'm walking. I go, keep walking. You made 22, keep walking. I was like, okay. But I was all, I'm like, hello? I'm like, she's calling me on the course. I was like,
it's not like I was running. I was walking at that point.
Like, she's curious. I'm like, are you on the race still? I was like, yeah. I was like, but I appreciate it. But I'm like, I was concerned. And then you're like, well, you doubted? I'm like, I never doubted because you're stubborn. You are one.
She is stubborn.
You are stubborn. And so am I. I'm like, when I want to be stubborn, but I'm like, are you okay? Because I was more concerned. I'm like, is this a medical situation or is this more mental? Like, and I figured yours was more medical. I was like, I'm like, well, she did it. I was like, especially when Kevin's like I said, the Pacers, that was an issue too.
There were the Pacers, and Kevin said she was like 8 minutes behind the Pacers, and I was like,
concerned. I'm like, oh my god, I hope she made the cut.
I would have rather her DNF because she was using their porta potties and that she just was like, screw it, I'm done, than have to get to the gauntlet and them say, sorry, you just missed it by 30 seconds.
And actually,
that would have been the worst.
New terminology. I didn't know what a DNS was until like
DNS
as soon as I started. Because I was almost one of those too. So but
listen, you guys both did an awesome job. This might set a record for the longest podcast.
Sorry, guys.
No, it was good. I think it was really good.
2 guests though. Yeah. So 2 stories.
Well, so. You guys are like my coaching advertisement, so I need to like keep you guys happy in here.
He's the best.
I'm 2 for 2.
I'm 2 for
2. So cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Congratulations.
Thank you for everything.
And we'll be here again after Atlantic City.
Yeah. Maybe with a whole... What if the whole Team Ordinary comes down here?
Oh, Christ.
And we do a podcast. We got to clean up the basement.
We'll be here for 3 hours. That's awesome.
That'd be cool.
Party go.
That'd be awesome. We should do it.
Anything else we need to say? I do want to say... the one guy I really wanted to meet that we didn't get to meet was Frank Fumick.
Yes.
And we had a plan that Frank owns a bar out in D.C. We were all going to go get there. He said if you showed up with a medal and you showed the medal that you'd get a free beer. And you guys hold on to those medals because you probably still cash that in if you want. But I think Frank had to leave. Frank actually had a little bit of emergency. He had to skip town right after the race. He ran the marathon in like, I don't even know, it was like 3:50 or something. Yeah, crazy.
Good for him.
But and I think, after that whole day with the rain and everyone had different stories to tell, and there was a bar in our hotel. It was a little wishful thinking that we were going to jump into a cab and drive to a bar. But
and the chafing.
So we didn't get to do that. So hopefully Frank.
About the chafing. Sorry.
Which is good. I don't.
Let's leave the chafing out of it.
Woohoo!
Yeah, So Frank, I apologize we didn't get to the bar and we didn't get to meet you, but we're gonna have Frank on the podcast. The Marine Corps Marathon was his 100th marathon.
What?
Yeah, which is insane.
Holy.
He does a lot of great things, Frank. So we're going to have him on the podcast in the coming weeks. We're also going to have Allison Knott, our official dietitian. She'll be on the podcast next couple days.
Can I be in there? Because I have a million questions about why I don't lose weight while running.
We'll talk about that. We'll definitely talk. That's a great. That's a great idea. Actually, if anyone's listening to the podcast and we're gonna. I'm not going to do it live, but if you have questions that you want to ask the dietitian, shoot them over to me, and I'll make sure they get asked on the podcast. And that's it for this one, guys. You guys did an awesome job.
Thanks, Coach.
It's.
Thank you.
Good job,
It's such a great accomplishment. Yes. Such a great accomplishment. So we're gonna call it quits for today. And remember, every day is an ordinary day unless you make it extraordinary. So get after it, guys.